your partner is looking more like a roommate to you than a lover or a spouse? Are you feeling so empty and emotionally disconnected, and you're wondering how to bring back the flame of love into your marriage? Then continue watching, because I am going to provide ways you can sweeten your marriage and get disentangled from the web of loneliness and emptiness. If you're yet to subscribe, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you will know when I make new videos. Stay tuned. Many marriages today are running on autopilot. You wake up in the morning, you do your usual routines, and you have this set of stereotype activities, and at the end of the day you come back home and you're tired and drained and you go back to bed, and you discover that from day to day all these are the things that usually happens, and sometimes at the end of the day you are emotionally drained, and you discover that the emotional connection between you and your spouse is completely lost, and you're wondering what has happened. You should know that before marriage, there were a few things to worry about. There were a few things you have to worry about. But now that you are married, it's serious business. One, there are bills to pay. You have a future to build together with your spouse. Like getting a bigger house, setting up a business. And what about the kids? Yes. It takes a lot of work to bring up children. And it can be so tasking, especially for the women. All these things takes time, it takes your mental energy, and they are emotionally very sapping. The tiny little gestures of love and affection and all that romance begins to wear out, and over time becomes swept under the carpet and replaced with the very serious issues of life. That is it. That is what happens. There are phases in marriage. It's not going to be all sizzling all the time, except you take steps and make conscious efforts to keep it that way. And that is why I'm here talking to you about this topic today. So what you're presently experiencing in your marriage, sweetheart, is perfectly normal. You know? So don't try to see your spouse as being insensitive or as if there is something wrong between two of you, and as such, you are trying to now separate and go your different ways. No, it's a phase, and you need to realize it's a phase so that you can do something about it and get that reconnection and that bond back again. Also, there are a lot of things that can come up between you and your spouse in your marriage. There are things you will quarrel about, both important and not important things. Oh, he dropped his clothes on the bed. Oh, he always messes up the room. I keep picking things everywhere. Oh, what kind of human being is this? I'm tired. You know, before long you begin to build resentment for him or for your wife. You begin to see your spouse as someone very terrible and horrible. Let me tell you, there are a lot of changes that occurs in every person. As you begin to bond together in that marriage, changes will occur. You'll see new things that will amaze you. And you'll be wondering, how on earth did I ever decide to marry this person? God, it's terrible, you know? So these are the things that can come up. And before long, you build resentment. You build hatred, disgust. You see your partner, you become disgusted. You see her and you're like, God, what was I even thinking of? Let me tell you, these are changes, normal changes that can happen. By the time you nurse those grievances in your heart, it's going to make you never to have that burning desire for him or for her. So you have to settle your differences. We are not perfect human beings. In fact, love is about loving the imperfect person perfectly. So you have to remove those resentments from your heart and clear it out, so so that you can begin to reignite that first love, that first spark. You begin to bring it back all over again. Now, let me share with you some practical things you can do to reignite that flame of love back into your marriage. First, you have to take care of yourself. Take care of your mind. Look inwards and try to transform your ways or your thinking. You need to work on yourself. It won't work. You are the first person. You are the first person that you need to work on. You know, it's so easy to place the responsibilities of our emotional instability in the hands of others, in the hands of your husband or in the hands of your wife. While you are trying to justify your claim, you say, oh, he's the one that is wrong. She's the one that is wrong. She's the one that is making me unhappy. That is it. You tend to blame your spouse for how you feel without taking any form of responsibility. Why you are feeling that way is because of him or because of her. You exonerate yourself. You are free. You tend to blame the other person for how you feel, for the lack of affection, the lack of love, the lack of concern, and so on and so forth. There are people who have lists of wrongdoings that their spouse have done to them. They keep records of what their spouse did to them so many years ago. They keep records. And there is no way you can have a sweet marriage when all these things, unforgiveness, resentments resides in your heart. Bring yourself out from that way and look at yourself first. You know, sometimes you feel you are being denied of all these things that your spouse have failed. They are the ones that have failed you. They are the ones that are making you feel so unloved. They are the ones that are making you feel so incomplete. And then you conclude in your mind that it is their job to fix the problems that you have. You believe that once they step up and become better, or once they change their ways and become either more romantic, more present, there are people, they are hardly at home and they are always out there working or whatever, hanging out. So they come late. There are men that come very late. So you conclude in your mind that once they change all these their behaviors and they become better, that you will now feel better and you will now have your healing. So that's the conclusion that you have made in your mind. And this is the biggest problem we face in relationships today. Why would you place your happiness in the hands of somebody else? We place our happiness in the hands of others, and we are not ready to take any form of responsibilities at all. Your internal processing of everything playing out in your home matters a lot. You have to get yourself out of this state of attachment and dependence on others for happiness. You have to get yourself out of the state of wanting your husband or your wife to make you feel validated. You have to take yourself out of that state of total dependence and reliance on your husband or on your wife for your happiness. Because as long as you keep yourself in this very vulnerable state of attachment, you will never find true happiness. Let me tell you, no one can make you happy if you as a person is not happy. In fact, putting a lot of burden on the next person is quite enormous. You want them to do this, you want them to do that, you want them to make you feel loved, you want them to make you feel special, you want them to make you feel complete and all that. Is it not too much for one human being to do for you? Let me tell you, it is when you step out of this attachment and dependent phase, and you begin to look inwards and find your own happiness and find your own completeness, that you begin to notice changes happening in your life, and that changes that happens within you will radiate to affect the other people around you. If you are unable to find reading within yourself, to love yourself, cherish yourself, find your own happiness and your own peace, and reconnect with your true self. If you're unable to do this, it will be very hard to stay in a marriage and be happy. You might think that your husband or your wife is the problem, and you separate and have a divorce, and you go and meet another person. But if this internal reading is not achieved, the same problem will go to the next person and to the next person, and the cycle continues. Have you not heard of people who they are broken up 10 times? It is because they are unable to find reading within themselves. Sometimes it's not the person per se that they are going out with. It is themselves. So try to find reading within yourself. Try to find that happiness. Love yourself. Cherish yourself. Have peace with yourself. Be comfortable just by being yourself. And by the time you attain this state of self-stability in your mind, you will have a stable, happy relationship with anyone. The next thing is you have to be more accepting. You should understand that people are different. Don't expect your partner to think, to feel, and to behave like you. Learn to accept them for who they are. Acceptance does not mean that they are perfect. It simply means that whatever behaviors that they exude do not create a disturbance and discomfort inside of you. Expecting them to meet a particular need is perfectly okay and it's normal. We all have such expectations. But when you base your happiness on that particular expectation, it will cause you heartache. It will. Because when they fail to meet that need, trouble. There will be big trouble. In fact, let me tell you a story of a woman who picked up a fight with her husband because the husband forgot to remember her birthday. On that particular day, she didn't find it funny. Imagine that after so many years of marriage, that he will still just forget her birthday like that. She has been taking it all the years, but this particular one, she said, no, I have to deal with him. For what? She was so hot that she decided that she was going to get back at the man. Not talk to him. She stopped answering him when he asked her some certain questions. How are you? Fine. Is there anything wrong? No. Did I do anything wrong? What did I do wrong? Nothing. She didn't even tell him what the problem was. She was just having this internal beef within her about him forgetting her birthday. At some point, she started keeping malice, and she kept malice for a long time. And this man didn't even understand what was happening to the wife. And he just decided to, okay, now I have tried to talk to her and she's not really forthcoming, so let me leave her. Maybe over time she would come around. But it started like a joke. After 1 week, it entered 1 month and it continued. And from there, other problems started entering into the whole matter. And they quarreled, and before long, they were separated. This particular thing I'm telling you led to a separation. You see, the woman could not, come to terms with herself. In this scenario now, will you now say that the fault was from her husband? Not likely. Sometimes we to heart, little things that are insignificant. We take them to heart and we allow those little things to build up in our hearts and to eat us up. And that can cause from one problem to another, and to bigger problems. You know, this same thing that this woman experienced happened to me. Oh, yes, let me share with you what happened to me. Just my last birthday, November of last year. So my husband forgot, he forgot my birthday. I was the one that reminded him, sweetheart, have you forgot? You've not even wished me happy birthday. Don't you know that today is my birthday? Oh, hey, sorry, happy birthday. Just like that, I didn't really take it to heart. I didn't feel bad because I know even his birthday, I used to remind him of his own birthday. He's that bad. Man, why are you like this? You know, there are people like that actually. So I didn't take it to heart. That wasn't the issue with me in this scenario. Now guess what? He came up and said he was going to sponsor a small party for me at home. I was so excited. I was feeling so happy. I said, wow, this is interesting. He said, please, I don't want you to just think about anything. Just relax. I will take care of everything. Look at me now. I went to work that day feeling so cool, happy, you know, running back home with all the expectations of having him buy my favorite chicken pies and cakes and all the other pastries that I love. So I was just flying on eagle's wings and I was feeling so cool that this year's birthday for me is gonna be the bomb. I was just, you know. So guess what? Just guess what? He came back home that day and we all came out, the children. Oh, daddy, oh, sweetheart. I looked at the car, you know. Where are the things? Where's my cake? He said, so sorry. There was so much traffic on the road. I wanted to go through this route. I couldn't. So sorry. And I'm so exhausted. I couldn't get the things. Please, let's just postpone till the weekend. We'll do it during the weekend. My jaw dropped. And I was like, oh my goodness. What kind of man is this? What the heck? Like seriously? Can you imagine? He could have just left me with my own little plan that I had. You know? What is this? This is a big temptation. This man is trying me. You know? Usually, I love to make some noise on birthdays. My kids' birthdays, even my husband's birthday, I usually make cakes and I love to make some noise about it. So on this very occasion, I had just something little planned up in my head and he uttered it. And now he's coming and uttering everything again. I looked at myself, I said, God, this man, you are not going to mess my day today. Which weekend? Postpone to which weekend? What kind of postponement is that? I didn't accept that postponement. It has to be today or never. I went into my kitchen cabinet, brought out my baking tins, my flour, my sugar, butter, everything, brought out my cake mixer. I started making the cakes, started doing the pastries that I love, donuts and all that. I entered my deep freezer. I brought out fish. I made a very delicious pepper soup. You know, very delicious. And in a few hours, I was done making all those things. I took them all, spread them out on table, lit some candles and all that, put on some music, and there was my party. Oh, come on. My party was set. And my kids and everybody became making some noise, dancing and celebrating. And he too walked in. I was like, and also enjoyed all the things that I prepared. Okay, so that was what happened. Here are two similar scenarios, but different different responses and different outcomes. That same woman had the same problem that I had, and a big problem eschewed. The same problem I also experienced, but look at the way I took it. You all will agree with me that the way you see a problem is dependent on your internal processing. You know, you magnify what is small and make it very big. And from there, the devil will come in and tear your relationship apart. So we have to be very careful. Don't be overly reactive, okay? You need to understand that people are different. You have to learn how to be accepting. When my husband disappointed me, I just accepted it. I didn't keep it to heart. I just brushed it off my mind and made an alternative arrangement. Sometimes those little things that cause big quarrels are some things you yourself can prevent. That's why in the first advice that I gave, it has to do with you taking care of your mind. You being comfortable with yourself and not basing your happiness on someone else. Learn how to accept your spouse, both their good sides and even their bad sides, and see if it's something that you can cope with, you cope with it. But if something that you cannot cope with, I don't encourage anyone to cope with physical abuse in whatever form. You know, those are things that you shouldn't cope with. Those are things you should draw a line, you know. But if all these other little things, there are things you can actually cope with by changing the way you think, by changing the way you view things and responding differently. The problem is trying to compare your relationship with that of someone else's. Don't expect what is happening in Mr. A's home to happen in your own home. People are different. Marriages are different. Don't compare your spouse with another person's spouse and say, oh, look at Mrs. A's husband. Look at the way he is taking good care. On her own birthday, look at what he did. He shut down the entire town for the sake of his wife. Just this little thing I'm even asking you to do. This small one. You cannot even do. You can't even do. Nonsense, man. Get away. There are women that do that. There are women that behave that way. You shouldn't do that. It will not give you the kind of marriage that will bring rest and peace to your soul. So, remove your eyes from the weaknesses of your spouse. If it's something you can help them to overcome, try and see if you can help them overcome their weaknesses, you know, and you have to identify their strengths and capitalize on their strengths and enjoy the benefits of those good things that comes from their good sides, and then overlook. It's not like you are not seeing their weaknesses, so it's not that you are not, you know, it's not that you are okay, but you're just overlooking, shaving it off your heart and not allowing those things to break you down. So try to accept your spouses for who they are. Don't try to change them. It's not in your hands at all. But when you are able to bring them to the realization of their weaknesses, you can help them to overcome those weaknesses. Because actually, people need strength to overcome their weaknesses. It's not going to be by force. You can't change a human being that is not ready to change. People change when they recognize the need for a change And people change when they have decided to change. So don't try fixing your spouse. You can't do that. You will run into problems. You can't do that. But you can identify those weaknesses and with love, help them to overcome those weaknesses. And like I said earlier, capitalize on their strengths and you will enjoy your marriage better than never before. You see, the ultimate aim in all of this is for you to find inner peace, for you to find happiness within you, and you try to rediscover yourself and take yourself out of that web of self-pity, and gradually you can build back the intimacy into your marriage. Okay? So just try to overcome those distress in your heart and share it out one after the other. Remove resentments, remove unforgiveness, remove bitterness, and set your heart free so that you can begin that journey of rediscovering yourself first and reigniting the flame of love back to your marriage. I want to thank you for joining me till the end of this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. I'm going to appreciate it. And if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, why are you watching me and you have not subscribed to my channel? You're gonna miss a lot too. You're gonna miss a lot. I'm inviting you to subscribe right now and hit the notification bell so you'll be alerted when I make new videos. And this is the first episode. Watch out for the next episode. It's going to be so packed. Until I see you again, stay in peace.